Chris Stuker for geeknerdnet.com. I am with the creative team behind Cover of Darkness. Crystal Cam and George Michail, hello.
Hey.
Hey.
So great to see you guys again, both of you. I've said this many times before, but I'll say it again in case someone is just getting to know all of us. We all met in 2019 at the Calgary Expo, and then here we are. We're getting back into that convention life, and that's kind of cool. And Chris and you and I saw each other a couple months ago at the Calgary Expo limited edition. That was fun.
It was. I'm so happy they did it.
Yeah, I agree. It was, and George, you and I chatted earlier this year, and here we are again. I'm really excited for you guys because, like I said, in 2019, you just launched Cover of Darkness, in your indie book, and you're selling hot off the presses, literally, that time that I met you. And then now, fast forward, and you're doing through SourcePoint Press. You've got the series Cover of Darkness coming out, and it's available to order via Diamond, and you can talk to your local comic shop about that, and maybe perhaps one of you can give a bit more details on it. But I'll stop talking. Also, artist MJ Hiblin is on there, and why don't one of you take it away and give a bit of a background on Cover of Darkness and what readers can expect.
So Cover of Darkness is like Game of Thrones meets the Universal Monsters. It's about a family in medieval Romania. They get separated. Oh no, right? They encounter vampires, werewolves, the mummy, creature from the Black Lagoon, and Frankenstein. It's about this family's journey back to each other. They're trying to get back home, trying to reunite. And one thing that's really fun about it is within the family, there's a mom, her two daughters, and she has twin shape-shifting nephews, boys that can turn into animals. So you get like gorillas fighting werewolves. It's insane.
Nice. Just like one monster out of all those would be exciting in an issue, but then when you're tossing them all in the mix, you've also got other covers being done by, I forget the name, please remind me of the other covers that are being done by the artists.
Crystal, you want to take it?
Yeah, we have alternate covers by Scott McDaniels actually that are coming out, and they're really awesome.
Yeah, that guy's a legend. He worked on like Batman and Nightwing, and we're just psyched to have him as part of the team as well.
Oh, it's fantastic. I mean, when you're putting your book together, I mean, it's been really a couple of years now, and cranking out the stories, and it's super exciting and fun and monsters and all that good stuff. How did it work, the relationship with SourcePoint Press, if we fast forward to now?
Well, we had a few publishing offers actually. We're really psyched to be partnering with SourcePoint Press. They're a quality company, and I guess the way it started was like we didn't pitch all the time everywhere. It was more like I was on the road a lot, doing a lot of shows, and SourcePoint Press does a ton of conventions. They do over 70 shows a year. They'll have up to like 4 different teams going at the same on like the same weekend. So they're big on the convention circuit, and you know, they got to know me, they got to know Cover of Darkness, and yeah, they really like their comic, and yeah, we're finally able to kind of put something together with them and make it happen.
Great. I mean, Chris, I want to jump over to you. I want to go back to the and George, I want you to jump in on this too after, but I want to talk about the you know, obviously the break we all had because of the pandemic, with conventions being back, and you and I chatted a little bit when we were at Calgary Expo. What was the I guess, what's that feeling of, you know, being back at a booth, back at your table, talking to fans, talking to new fans, introducing the book to new readers? How did that go? Was it like riding a bike again, or was it sort of like, okay, I gotta get back up to this and work my way up?
It was a little bit of both, especially since it's been a year and a half since the previous convention that I had done. It was a little bit of, okay, I have to remember, what am I talking about? What's the book about? How do I do that sales pitch side of it from the business side? But also it was exciting. I love, like, one of my things that I say to people is, do you want to geek out over monsters with me? Who's your favorite monster? And so because I love what I write about, it was really fun to get back on the circuit and just be out there and just talking to people about the book, about what I love, about the monsters, and just bringing them in. And one of the greatest things about talking to people is finding out what monsters they love and being like, oh, I don't have a Wendigo in our story yet, or you know what I mean, or
Yeah.
those type of things, and just loving geeking out with them. It was a little bit, coming out of COVID, there's always the hesitation. We were all in masks and still doing what was right to make sure that the convention could happen and everybody was as safe as possible. And I think that it ran fantastic, and just being out there, everybody was just so happy to be back in their happy place, the convention, geeking out, or surrounded by things that we all love and connect through. It was wonderful, I have to say.
Nice.
Yeah, I was a
love
little
that.
nervous about getting into doing conventions again with the masks, because I'm so passionate about selling comic books and about talking to people about the stories that Chris and I have made, and having that mask covering my smile. I was like, how is this going to work? Are people going to really, is that vibe going to come across? And people are into it. Like, I think we're getting ready for like the roaring 20s here after being like locked up a little bit. People are ready to get out there and do stuff. I've done 9 shows in 11 weeks, so I was just going at it hard.
Wow.
And yeah, I had some of my best conventions ever. So yeah, people are ready to come back and buy comics.
That's great. I mean, nine shows, 9 shows in 11 weeks. Holy crap. Well done, George. That it's starting out possibly as a 6-issue miniseries. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one thing that's really cool about the way our comic is formatted is that each issue is split, and half of it is our family's ongoing adventure. They're on a collision course with the monsters. And the other half of it is a standalone monster origin story. So every issue, you get like that self-contained read and an ongoing. So it's a big epic story that we're telling. The first 6-issue miniseries is available to order right now from SourcePoint Press, and it'll be in stores in January.
Fantastic. Crystal, you'd mentioned too, just to go back to some of the things conversations you had with fans and readers at convention about, what kind of monster do you want to see, or do you want to talk monsters with me? And you said some people mentioned monsters that you don't have in yet.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite? And George, over to you as well. After, do each of you have monster that you're like, oh, we have to somehow slide this into a story at some point? Like, is there something just like literally scratching at the door to get into a story?
Yeah, you know what? There are a couple that we have worked in up to this point, and I think I started with all of my favorites and the ones that I had to get in. We have our Frankenstein, and we do our own twist on each of the monsters. So in our case, it's an Atlantean steampunk Frankenstein. So I took Frankenstein, threw him on the island of Atlantis, and just let him wreak havoc. And then we took our werewolves, which is another one of my favorite creatures out there, and we just tied Norse mythology in with our werewolves, and now we have Viking werewolves. And another one is a Gyarados style lake monster came into play in one of the issues. And so it's been a lot of fun just taking monsters that I love throughout all of my reading, history, pop culture, as well as creating a couple that are a little more unique as well.
Very cool.
Yeah, we did new twists on all the classic monsters, and I guess my favorite is probably like Creature. I don't know, I feel like he's kind of misunderstood, and in our version, he's the love child of a mermaid and a pirate.
Nice.
So,
I mean, really,
fun.
as it should be.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. Nice. I want to, and when I first met the two of you and I saw the art in your book, I was blown away. And talk a bit about MJ Hivlin and his art and the relationship you all have.
Yeah, he's an amazing artist. That the interesting thing with Mark is that we've actually never had a conversation over the phone with him. All of our interactions have been through email and through Instagram and through direct messages. Nothing has actually been spoken, and that's the amazing aspect of our modern technology is that we can have a full multi-year running business where we haven't ever had a conversation in person. And he's just a phenomenal talent. And George can tell you a bit about how he does his work. It's just mind blowing.
Cool.
Yeah, so MJ does everything digitally with his finger. He doesn't use a pencil or a stylus, and he has like a real gritty and kinetic kind of energy to his artwork that I think fits our subject matter perfectly. Yeah, so we're thrilled to have him on board. And one thing that's fun about like having him is oftentimes I'll be talking about the comic book at a convention, and people will already be like following MJ. He's got like 250,000 followers out there. Just a decent chunk of the comic book community already know who this guy is. So that helps selling our book too.
That's amazing. I don't recall you telling me about him drawing with just his fingers, so no stylus, no pen, but
It's
digitally.
crazy.
That is crazy.
I can barely sign my name like on one of those screens.
Oh,
I don't know how you do.
Yeah, those screens suck. Worst. You're like, I think it says Chris. I don't know what it says. You know, 3 years into the business, lifelong passion. You maybe give us a bit of insight, George, you know, and Crystal, give us a bit of insight on I don't know if expectations is the right word, but were there any sort of pleasant surprises or even some cons, not talking about conventions, but I guess what are some things that have hit you in a good way and sort of like, ooh, I didn't know that was going to happen?
Getting the comic book printed for the first time is just an amazing feeling. It's almost like having a baby, kind of like it's like it's huge like impact on you. I remember like, so we met up in like, I live in BC, Chris lives in Alberta, and so we met up near the border, and she had brought some copies of like the first time it was ever printed, and I just remember like staring at it for like an hour, just like being an idiot, just like flipping through. And I'd seen all the artwork, I'd seen all the lettering, we'd put it together digitally, but once you get it in your hands, holy smokes, it was just an amazing feeling. And yeah, that was great. As far as like negatives, you know, one thing that used to really impact me is like when I would be kind of unsuccessful at a convention, maybe it's not going well, I'm trying to sell my book, and you know, there's just not that many people there, maybe, or maybe the vibe isn't really a horror group. And that used to hit me a lot harder, but I've kind of come to realize that like all I can do is the best that I can do, and you can't control what other people like, and if they want to pick up your book or not. Just all I can do is present it, and if people want to get it, cool, and if they don't, that's fine too. So I've really kind of relaxed a bit over that, but in the early days that was like very hard, like emotionally, kind of the just wave of rejection you can get. But so those are some of the highs and lows for me.
Gotcha.
Yeah, for me, I love talking to people in at the conventions just about the book. I think for me, I think that's probably one of the best things of being a creator, is getting to share that. And then on the other side, just having people come to you and say, well, how did you make it happen? You know, and I talk to them about our process of it. And that's just amazing. Just getting to talk to other people about the process that we went through, and where they're at in their process, and just give them ideas that worked for us that might work for them, that they could incorporate, or any, just talking about the book and something that I love with people. That's been such a fun process of just creating a graphic novel or a comic book. For the cons, I think the hard side is the rejection, right? Because not everybody is going to love a horror comic. It's not for everyone. Not everybody's going to love monsters in their comics. And just over time, you get to the point where you're like, all right, so there's tons of creators here. You're going to find something you love, and it just might not be my thing.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's like, I love that insight, because I can only imagine. I mean, we've all been to the conventions, obviously, and there's times where I walk by a table and I feel bad for walking by the table. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I'm not saying that, like, I'm not joking. I'm laughing only because it's just that, like, I'm like, oh, I want to stop, but I just can't. I don't know. or whether I'm going to, pick up something else at another table or something, which sounds bad now. But you know what I mean, though, right? It's like, but it's the oh man, like it's like I hope everyone has a thick skin here because it could be tough. I can only imagine. And there are times where I try to circle back, even if it's at the end of a show, to go back, like, oh hey, how's it going? This is cool. Tell me about it. I don't know anything about what you're doing, right? And
Yeah,
but then there's again, depending on the size of the convention, and the two of you have seen it numerous times, you just can't do that all the time, right? So
I think that's
absolutely.
what's so important about choosing a quality artist for your project. Like, mostly at the conventions, like the people selling comic books are the writers, and the people selling prints are the artists. And so if you're selling a comic book, you've most likely hired an artist. You need to be objective when you're picking your artist so that you get someone that's really talented, so people want to buy your book and read your story. And that's something that Chris and I realize, is that most people that are buying our comics, they're buying it because it looks awesome. And the biggest compliment that we get as writers is when people come back, maybe they buy it on Friday and they come back on the Saturday or the Sunday and they're like, that was awesome, I want more. That means they like the story, right? That means they want more of this world. So that's our big compliment that we get. But yeah, so if you're out there struggling at the table, maybe choose your artists. Be a little bit more selective with your artists.
yeah, I remember thinking the same thing when I sent this picture the other day when I got this back in 2019. Woo! Well, I think it's one of your first prints, but anyway,
Yeah.
it was cool. I remember reading it and be like, "Holy shit, this is awesome! This is so much fun!" And yeah, I mean, congratulations again. So, okay, so you've got you've broken up the story now. Back to the book. You're gonna have the 6 issues come out as the mini series. What sort of next steps are you looking at after that? Obviously, I can only imagine you're hoping for more to continue. Have those about that?
Yeah, actually, we have written 10 issues. We have 9 issues that we self-published, and SourcePoint Press has agreed to release the first 6 as a miniseries. And so we have the whole series planned out for 18 issues. So as 3 6-issue miniseries. And there's a lot of really fun, good stuff that we have planned for the middle 6 stories, as well as the final 6 stories. But the world is just so all encompassing. We have tons of stuff that we're enjoying writing and adding to the series, and it's just a lot of fun to see it come to life and to be tying in ideas and hints that we drop in issue 1 all the way in issue 10. They're coming back and you're seeing some of those tie-ins. So it's the good but the bad of having a really long series that we've also broken up into 6 full complete storylines within those story arcs, if that makes sense.
Totally.
Yeah, it's like a trilogy of movies. So each 6-issue miniseries is its own story. I'll give you a scoop though, Chris. We are also working on some one-shots, an anthology style story that kind of spotlights some of the other characters in the Cover of Darkness world, and we're working with many different artists. Andy Belanger of Swamp Thing and Southern Cross, Mother Trucker, he's going to be doing one of our stories.
Wow, that's fantastic. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
Cool. How many one shots are you doing, or is it not defined yet?
We're planning on doing 3 one-shots right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, great. That's great. And are those slotted to come out during the 6-issue run or after, or how is that planned out?
We're looking at doing one shot in between each 6-issue miniseries. So
cool.
Possibly fall this year
Yeah.
through SourcePoint Press.
Oh, nice. That's fantastic. Again, congratulations on all the success of the book. It's a ton of fun. It's a ton of monster fun. It's a mash of monsters, as some might say, but I'm pumped. I'm gonna leave that in there. Anyway, why don't you the two of you please let people know where they can reach out to you through your social channels, or where they can just see your stuff to come.
I'm
Sure.
on Instagram under Cam Crystal, and that's the main way to reach me. And our book is out in Previews magazine right now for the first issue of the comic. So go to your local comic book store, ask them to bring it in, tell them that you're interested, and then we'll be hitting comic book stores in January.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm at Comic Book George on Instagram, George Michail on Facebook, and I have a comic book interview show called Inside Comics on YouTube.
Yeah, that's very cool. Everyone should check that out as well. Crystal, thank you so much for joining me again, and this time, you know, Zoom, but that's okay. I love it. I love it. I mean, this is the new standard now. But until we can see each other at a convention again, hopefully early next year, I obviously wish you both nothing but even more success than you've already had.
Thanks, Chris. It was
Thank you,
awesome
man.
talking to you.
Okay, thank you.